The Truckers Association of South Africa today held a road safety awareness campaign at the Bapong Weighbridge on the N4 outside Rustenburg. The organization says they are concerned about the number of accidents on the road and fatalities reported. Now let's discuss this. We are now joined via Zoom by Mary Phadi, the president of Truckers Association of South Africa. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time this afternoon. Before we talk about today's campaign, let's get your reaction as the president of the association to Boksburg's accident, that left 27 people dead.
We send our condolences to the family, and it is just unfortunate. It comes at a time where we have showed our face as an association to say, let us cap the accidents, let us reduce fatalities on the road. So indeed, it has, touched us so much that we cannot really explain what had happened in Boksburg.
So, of course, we've been getting some reports from eyewitnesses who were there in terms of what happened, before the accident and, of course, during the accident. And now, of course, we know that the charges of the truck driver, the truck driver has been released and investigations are still continuing. Talk to us then about what we are currently hearing. So we understand that this was a South African truck driver who is fully well trained, and he apparently, in some reports, we're hearing that he actually assessed the situation before he went under that bridge, which is a low-lying bridge, but he still managed to get stuck. And just before the fire ignited in the back of the tanker, he then cordoned off the area, we understand. That's before he passed out and was rushed to one of the hospitals. And this is before the 3 explosions were then heard and felt, and of course left many people seriously injured, critically injured, and now 27 people have died.
It definitely, that's the report that that has been found after the investigation. But look, I still insist that we must all take responsibility on this issue. The responsibility of, making sure that we bring in more awareness to our drivers. This driver definitely is well trained. When you are dealing with explosives, you are not the same person that is driving a normal truck. So he's got more certificates, hazardous certificates, where he's taught safety into detail. And the situation now is saying to us that there is more to be done in South Africa. We've heard the company yesterday have said that he diverted and was trying to find the route back to the proper route where he was supposed to be traveling at. So definitely we are aware that, such things can be avoided, but it is for the first time it's happening in South Africa, and we are hoping that we'll never see this situation anymore. We've had cases where abnormal loads trucks will be able to be stuck under the bridge, and those are the incidents that we know, but not a fuel tanker or a gas tanker or a petroleum tanker. This is for the first time we've seen this.
So you're running a campaign today, which is, of course, an awareness campaign around, just the many accidents that we have experienced in this country surrounding truck vehicles. A lot of the time when we hear of these stories, we then talk about the training of these drivers. And one of the most important relationships between a driver is that of himself and a controller, we are told. Do you think a lot of work is left onto the driver to make critical decisions? I mean, at what point do companies then take responsibility in as far as the controllers are concerned? They are the ones that are supposed to be giving drivers the proper routes. They are the ones that are supposed to be guiding drivers in terms of, what to do in a situation like this, because we understand that this particular truck driver went out of his vehicle before going under that bridge to assess the height between his tanker and the bridge.
This continuous safety awareness says that we need to teach each other this is part of the training, because when we are quiet about safety, people tend to get used and get the norm of it. Yes, most of the trucks in South Africa has been installed by a drive cam. Hence, every time there's an accident, you can be able to see how the accident has happened. Most of the trucks in South Africa now have got the two-way radio where you communicate with the driver. And there's enough communication inside the truck. But the training must come in whereby there's a proper communication linked between the operator as well. Operator meaning the person that is sitting at the room where they are monitoring the trucks, as well as the employee who's a truck driver. So the sooner we find that communication properly, we are not going to have these challenges, because there is no need. The trucking industry systems that are installed are in an advanced stage, and with the safety campaign, we'll be bringing back to mind to say, look, there's no need to have accidents, because we can avoid them. Trucks, drivers are trained that they must inspect trucks on a daily basis. The question is, are they doing that? Safety campaign is saying, go back to a normal routine, don't relax. People are dying out there. We cannot be losing so many lives in South Africa due to the industry where we are in the freight industry.
Mary, as the president of the Truckers Association of South Africa, we know with most accidents, one has to look at the person behind the vehicle itself in terms of, how roadworthy it was, and the actual road in which they are traveling at. But in this instance, at this point where we are sitting now, no one is being held liable. I mean, it is an unfortunate incident, like you said. But at this point, when do owners of these companies become liable?
In South Africa, the industry is not regulated, and therefore there is no penalty to a company. Hence, we've called for the regulation of this industry. The regulation of this industry will mean that all companies who are owning trucks in South Africa will be registered with the Department of Transport. And when we have an accident like this at National Road, then what will be happening is that that company will be suspended for 7 days and submit their safety plan as to what are the changes that they will be doing, the assessment of what's happening at the offloading and the loading place. So those are the things that we must bring in South Africa. We must implement it as a matter of urgency. So the regulation will be giving the Department of Transport at the national level power to be able to make decisions and put these things in place to save the life of the people. But at the end of the day, currently, when any company is going into an accident, they can be on the road tomorrow, and which is not what it's supposed to be. We should be teaching them to say, why did this accident happen? How can you avoid it? What is it that you'll be doing tomorrow? So that it can teach others lessons, because you cannot only look at the profit rather than looking at the lives of the people that we are losing on the ground.
I mean, that comment alone worries me in terms of the unregulation. Is that international standards? Surely for a truck carrying, gas, toxic, substances, there should be some form of stringent measures that need to be taken, which is why we are sitting in this situation where we are saying, is it good enough that the company is cooperating with police and that they are willing to assist with funeral services? Something more needs to be done, and should have been done probably years ago.
You are right. Look, this industry was deregulated in 1988, and therefore there's nothing that is holding anyone accountable. Anyone can buy a truck tomorrow and be on the road. So what we are saying as an association is that let it be regulated. On the 29th of September this year, the good news is that it has passed in Parliament, and we are just waiting for the NCOP so that it can be finalized. And the government must make sure, or Parliament must make sure, that we get this regulation done as a matter of urgency. And that will ease your worries and ease the worries of the South African communities, because people will not do as they wish. There will be something more like a permit format type of, whereby you don't just drive a truck. You don't rely on a municipal operator card that is on that truck, but you also have a responsibility where you have been policed. You get a policing from the Department of Transport.
Mary, as we close our conversation, today, of course, you are doing the safety awareness campaign in the Northwest. Talk to us about it, and also how successful you think it will be, sans the fact that there is no regulation per se in the industry.
Look, they go parallel. Today, indeed, the campaign went very well. Led by the MEC of Northwest, Ntate Lehari. From last week, since we started the campaign, there is indeed a great success, because we've never had an accident where there's a truck driver that is involved. We only had one accident in Limpopo, where a bakkie went into the truck, but now we haven't received any incidents where truck drivers are making mistakes on the road. So there's a message that is going there. It is promising. And today the MEC committed his time for about 2 hours, where he spoke to all the trucks, especially the trucks that were coming from Botswana, because that's where they pass in Northwest Rustenburg. He's still here. He's still doing his best to make sure that people on the road are safe. So definitely it was a success. And most of the truck drivers had even told us their concerns. They've told us that they have been paid by loads. The road infrastructure is not good. And those that are paid per normal salary, they are distracted by others that are not doing right. The small cars, they get to be impatient with the trucks. So we've managed to engage, and we'll definitely find a solution, because there's a success to it.